Hi, I'm Miss Liz, and welcome to yet another episode of The Life with Liz. Speaking of Liz, I think my most enduring memory of Francesca, and I do have many, will be when we went to New York City for the famous Elizabeth Taylor jewelry auction at Christie's. When Elizabeth Taylor passed away in March of 2011, which was quite a shock to me, I called Francesca. She was one of the first people I called, and I asked her, I told her I just heard on the news Elizabeth Taylor had died, and I said, my God, what happened? And Francesca deadpanned, I don't know what happened. She died. That's what happened. Well, that's classic of Francesca's personality and character. But as the months went on, and first the Elizabeth Taylor jewelry had a fabulous exhibit in West Hollywood that I attended. And Francesca couldn't come with me to that because she was out of town. But a few months later, the jewelry auction itself took place in New York City. I told Francesca what fun it would be for us to go to New York City and attend the auction, and she agreed. So she and her boyfriend and I, on separate planes, mind you, flew from California to New York City, and we rendezvoused there for, I can't remember now, 2 or 3 days I think I was in New York. 3 days, I guess, because the auction was over several days. That was literally a hot ticket. It was very difficult to get into. I was able to get a ticket, I believe, because I was already registered with Christie's, having bid unsuccessfully in the Doris Duke auction of 6-7 years prior. Francesca did not have an account with Christie's, but I was able to get her a ticket when I got mine. They were giving out a maximum of 2 tickets per person. Well, you can imagine my consternation when Francesca announced she was going to bring her boyfriend, and of course she wanted to bring him to the auction too. That was 3 people. We only had 2 tickets. We didn't know how we were going to wing that. But that morning they went to Christie's and registered and got their own account open, so they were able to get a ticket for him to get into the auction as well. I will never forget that auction. And I've been to many auctions before, but none quite like this. It was in the evening, first of all, but I've been to an evening auction before. But because it was Elizabeth Taylor and because of all of the hype surrounding it, I mean, people had queued in lines for days during the previews leading up to the actual auction. I remember walking into Christie's at Rockefeller Center and seeing all of the television crew cameras and the vans, you know, with the big satellites on top that were just lined down the street. As I mentioned earlier, it was by ticket admission only, so I got there first, and of course, because of Elizabeth Taylor, I felt compelled to come dressed for the occasion. There's an earlier video I've done on my channel where you can see me getting dressed at my suite at the Waldorf Astoria, and then actually walking, because I was very close to Christie's by staying at the Waldorf, walking to the auction itself. Francesca was late because she and her boyfriend decided to go, this was in December when the auction took place, ice skating, or to check out the ice skating rink across the street in Rockefeller Center. So they got there late, but thank goodness they got there before the auction started. Everyone was dressed up. I can still remember those women coming in some of them, full-length Russian sable coats. How can I forget that? And just all the buzz in the room. We sat together, Francesca and I, and like everyone else, I think, just were amazed as piece after piece after piece of Elizabeth's jewelry shattered the pre-sale estimates and just went on to set records. Many of the pieces did. Francesca, as I said earlier, was very irreverent, and when she wanted to talk, she talked. She didn't care where she was. So the fact that this was an auction that was supposed to be hush-hush by the audience didn't bother her in the least, and she would frequently lose her place in the catalogs we had in our laps and ask me, which one was this? What was that? Finally, the people in front of us got a little tired of her outburst interrupting the auctioneer, and they turned around and went, shh. I was really surprised Francesca didn't snap a sarcastic remark back at him, but she didn't. But when she left, which took place before the auction ended, I stayed until the end, but she didn't. The man who had told her to be quiet turned around and asked me, who was that? I don't know if he was eavesdropping to our conversation or what, but I said, that's Francesca Hilton. Her mother is Zsa Gabor, and her father was Conrad Hilton, and her brother was Nicky Hilton, who was married to Elizabeth. And I could tell the person was a bit starstruck. Francesca's goal at the auction was to buy, she hoped, a piece of Elizabeth's that her brother may have given her, but no such piece appeared in the major jewel auction, and so she left empty-handed. When we left the auction, there was a camera crew standing in the front for, I really have forgotten now who. They were from a country in Eastern Europe, and they had very, very thick accents. And they didn't know, of course, who she was, but they asked us to give them an insight as to what it was like to be inside the sale room on that historic night. And Francesca immediately volunteered that Elizabeth Taylor was her sister-in-law. This didn't really seem to register with them, though. They never asked her what her name was. But somewhere out there, I assume, we ended up either on television or a European documentary, because they did film both of us as we told them what it was like to be inside the sale room on that night. We left there, and Francesca took, we all got in one taxi, and we went to Clark's, another watering hole in New York City that stays open late. And we had a midnight supper, and that was pretty funny too, as I think back. It was just a fun and funny evening, and one that I'm very happy to say I shared with my friend Francesca Gabor Hilton. So, thank you for allowing me to share some of these memories. I think that since I really still have a hard time believing that she's actually gone, I think talking about it kind of helps me to come to terms with her death. I'm Miss Liz. This was another episode of The Life with Liz. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.